This is the forest where the devil landed when he was cast out of heaven. And at that spot, we'll find the entrance to hell. The Antrum. The deeper we dig, the more the forest around us becomes darker. And with each layer that we pass, deeper in hell we'll be.
This is the emergency podcast system. This is not a test. Movies are bombing all over the country. They are posing as movies you already know. They may already be in your theaters, your neighbor's home, or even your own. Do not panic. Specialists have been dispatched. They will help you identify these pretenders and defend you against this invasion of the remake. Please stand by for further instructions.
Welcome to another solo episode of Invasion of the Remake. I am your host, Jason Bishop, and again this week we're going to be returning back to Horror Con, where we're going to be presenting the panel for NYX. NYX, a upcoming Canadian horror channel. This is an interview with Corrine Ferguson, the founder of the channel, a channel founded by and mostly owned by women. Another executive producer of Antrum, David Bond, is doing the interview. He's also an investor and a partner within the NYX Corporation. It's an interesting conversation about streaming, women in horror. You'll hear Trish chime in. You'll hear Reanimate Her, another personality from YouTube who you've heard the voice of on a couple of these panels already. And of course, I'll chime in near the end with a little inside baseball, kind of a producer question on how these streaming channels work and where the revenue stream comes from. Little inside baseball. I kind of dig that kind of stuff, and let's face it, nobody else would have asked those kind of questions. So hopefully you find that interesting. A little different from the celeb stuff we've done, but I think you'll find this a fascinating conversation. And hopefully we'll get back to some regular episodes. Yes, I am still moving, and hopefully soon I've found a place, and hopefully December 1st I'll have moved my stuff. So there's going to be a delay on the 31 Days of Horror. And congratulations to Drew and Xavier for winning our 31 Days of Horror contest. They entered the draw by watching 31 horror movies over 31 days of October and sent us their lists. And for their efforts, we did a random draw, and Xavier and Drew are the winners for the contest, and they will be getting a t-shirt of their choice from TeePublic. Look for an email from Sam, guys, and enjoy your prize. Thank you for entering the contest if you have, and look forward to our 31 Days of Horror presentation. A little late this year, but hopefully it'll be landing sometime in December after I've kind of moved locations. Hopefully you might miss a week or two of no content until I kind of get settled, but we'll get that out to you as soon as possible, and we'll get back to kind of regular recordings again. And there'll be a short break at Christmas as always, and we'll come back with Cult Movie Trailer A Go-Go in January and back to hopefully a regular schedule. Man, I got to tell you, I hate doing that because it kills me. I've never missed a week in 7 years. But hey, it could have been worse. I'm glad I had all this HorrorCon stuff to present to you. Otherwise, it could have been a couple of months of no content rather than a couple of weeks. So hopefully enjoying these Horror Con specials, and we love going to Horror Con, and we'll definitely be back again next year. Try to get that stuff out to you a little sooner, or at least trickle. It depends on how much content we get out of it. I got about one more of these, so expect one more next week, and then there might be a bit of a gap until I get resettled and set up a new podcasting space for myself and Sam and Trish. But until then, here is David Bond interviewing Corrine Ferguson with questions from the audience at HorrorCon 2022.
On this, I'm usually not on this side of the microphone. We are very lucky that I'd like to introduce Corrine Ferguson to the CEO of NYX Media and Dark Elegy Films. I know she's very, very busy, but I thought we'd bring her down here and we'll talk a little bit about women in horror, opportunities, and a little bit about where we are right now. So I have to say, a couple years ago when Jason Blum said he would love to hire a female director but couldn't think of anyone, you must have been truly shocked.
Yeah, I was a little mad, I'm not going to lie. Not sure if the microphone is on, or probably don't need it.
I think, yeah.
I'm not used to being on this side either. So, I'm like, what is this thing in my face? Hello, everybody, by the way. Thank you for coming. I see you out there. Really appreciate it. I know we're like right in the front of an amazing costume contest that's about to start too. But yeah, thank you, David. No, I mean, those comments obviously always infuriate me, and it's, you know, but I understand where he's coming from, because I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Because as far as I'm concerned, everything I say is going to go out into the ether, into the world at some point. But I will give him the benefit of the doubt, because I actually do believe women obviously have been in horror for a very long time. I mean, in 1953, you had the first female director, Idna. And I mean, you know, women have been quietly in horror, I think, and I think that's been the case for so long. In many, and I don't think horror is unique to that. I think women are often, the forces to be reckoned with, but we're often the quiet voices to be in the background. So it's not surprising to me that he wouldn't necessarily think there's a lot of great female directors. And I mean, honestly, like, you know, some of my favorites, and you know, I'd say again, like, they've been published, you know, in terms of, oh my goodness, Julia, you know, Raw and Titane, which won Con, like, come on, right? And, I mean, you can even go Prano, Bailey, Bond, and, you know, and I mean, Censor, like, again, Film of the Year, right? And, you know, so many. Another one of my favorites too, you know, Revenge, and whatnot. So, you know, Coralie. So, you know, there's amazing women in horror. There really, really is in many roles and in many ways. And so, you know, if I can shine a light on that in any way, I'm excited to do
That's
so.
actually my next question. There are amazing women that are in our business right now. I mean, including yourself.
Oh, thank you.
But I mean, there's some amazing positions in the forefront. Who do you think are the next champions of our business?
Oh, wow. I mean, you know, I do think, well, I'm going to take a moment here to promote what I'm doing a little bit as well, too, as a champion in the industry. In terms of, I think we're needing to see more women in those, you know, decision-making executive roles of the business side of horror as well, too. So that's where I'm excited to bring forward NYX, and we'll talk about that in a bit, too. But I also want to shine a light on, you know, even some of the horror publications, you know, with Jovanka.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, she took over 2003, I think it was, and
she was the first editor of the first horror female editor ever. So, I mean,
Right.
that was an amazing place.
Yeah, no, and I think that publication has had some amazing women involved in editorial positions and stuff as well too. We've got Tara, she
course.
owns Fangoria, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just been, and that's where I do think we're starting to see more of that. We're starting to see it again, the spotlight being put more on women like that and in those roles. And that's what's going to, I think, help propel, sort of women and frankly, underrepresented groups in general. I say women, but I really genuinely mean underrepresented groups overall. There's, of many, many sort of labels and categories and stuff. So I'm excited by that. I mean, there is progress happening, and so I'm excited by that.
So, like we were just talking about, was it Screamfest? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Rachel.
Wow, yeah, hugely influential film festival, right? Some amazing films have come out of there to launch, people's careers and catapult them, frankly. I mean, Paranormal Activity, speaking of Blumhouse again, right? Came out
Jason
of...
wouldn't exist if he actually didn't go to the Rachel's Film Festival.
Right, absolutely, right? And, The Hatchet and...
Wolf Creek.
Oh my gosh, right?
28 Days Later.
So many amazing films have come out of that festival. I mean, frankly, David...
Oh, no, you're not saying it. Don't say it.
I don't know. What was it, 2005?
Yes.
One of your films came out of that festival?
Yeah, my first
Cookers?
film. Yes, my first film.
Award-winning,
came out
right?
of there, yes.
I mean, hey, you know, I gotta put the plug onto the other side, too.
So... Tell us your story. So tell me about your first horror memories. I mean, this is tribe, this is community, and we all have those moments where we knew this was something special that we were on our path to do. So what are your first horror memories?
Honestly, so I don't know if you guys remember, but we had, I grew up I was born in the 70s. Look, I'm not going to lie about my vintage. I should proudly wear it. I ain't 30 anymore, that's for sure. So when I grew up, we had this Barbie head on sort of a platform, and it was almost like a hairdressing kind of thing. I'm seeing a few heads shaking.
Yep.
Well, I ripped it off of there, and I put this, real... I don't even know what to call it, punk rock makeup on, and I think I was about 6 at the time. And then I took it off, and I used to drag it around with me. And then the neighbors phoned my mom, and she was like, I don't know what Corrine is doing, but I saw her walking around with a head. And my mom, it's a doll's head, don't freak out. Like, the neighbor was freaking out. And so, literally, I don't know, I just always thought, no, this looks too normal, let's pull it apart and do something fun and interesting with it. And then I hung the head from the tree, and then that really got people going and stuff. I love scaring people. Oh my gosh, I have an older brother who would just, he still to this day can't go down into the basement without, triple checking. I've loved scaring people. I don't like to be scared, but I love scaring people. But also, too, I've just had so many fun memories of, as a teenager, preteen even especially. One of my favorites is still to this day, Watcher in the Woods. And, we got together with all my cousins and my friends, and we're all, kind of cuddled up and trying to see, who's going to scream first. And then someone screams, and we all go crazy and laugh and all that kind of fun stuff. I used to hold haunted houses in my basement, and used to love for the neighborhood kids to come over and stick their hands in stuff that, they had to guess what it was. To me, it was fun. It was fun stuff, right? And just playful. So that's kind of my beginnings, obviously, with it. And then, as I've, kind of progressed and into my life, it was always to me a great genre for real visceral storytelling, right? And
Yeah.
I was always, drawn to that the older I got in terms of where, compelling and just really powerful storytelling. And you know what? You can only watch so many of those, frou-frou romance movies. And I mean, I love a good rom-com like the next person. But to me, I've always felt that sometimes we needed to tell the darker stories more because everybody has darkness and are dealing with darkness. And it's often, I found, meant to be something that people felt like, oh, I must be the only one. And so I always appreciated the genre for trying to say, no, you're not alone. You're not alone, right? There's people dealing with hard shit, some pretty freaky shit sometimes, unfortunately. Doesn't matter what, sort of class you're coming from or what walk of life. Sometimes the hardest, most horrific shit, frankly, is happening in the rich houses. I'm not going to lie. And I just thought it was an amazing, place to be telling those stories, and also for it to show, though, that you can overcome the darkness, right? And that, the main characters often go through that, dark journey, but they come out victorious and stronger and more powerful in the end. And I was always really drawn to that, I think, from a storytelling side of things.
I think that's the secret of the dark ride. Now, the horror business is very different from the last job before you got into film, and that was running a film fund. Why did you decide to transition from running a film fund to going and starting to make horror movies?
Yeah, because it was a lot more fun. I guess, I don't know, maybe my mother scared the crap out of me about, you gotta, grow up and get, the societal norm of a job. And so I became a professionally designated accountant. You can't get, much more straight and narrow than that, which, it's been a great supporter for me and my family, but I've always, again, sort of been drawn to that entertainment industry and that background. And so I had the opportunity in 2012 to start up and run an Edmonton Film Fund. And that was like just merging both of my worlds together. I just was like, thought I had my dream job that way, the business of the industry and into the entertainment part of it. So that was really eye-opening, and it was amazing. And I love looking behind the curtain and seeing like how the sausage gets made, so to speak, right? So how do you make a movie? What goes on? And I was like, wow, I was blown away by the people in the industry, blown away by their resilience. No matter what position it was, whether it was actors or crew or, everybody has to do their job, from craft services to locations to, PAs and to the directors, obviously, and the actors to make that happen. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So I was hooked. I didn't look back, really.
So you went from the Edmonton Film Fund to your first production company, which is still your current production company,
it is, yeah.
Which is Dark Elegy Films.
Yeah.
When you made the transition to make Dark Elegy Films, what made you decide to go and build Dark Elegy?
So, because when I was with the Film Fund, we actually didn't fund any horror productions. And again, keep in mind, at that time, I knew nothing about the business of entertainment, but I am financially driven. I am research driven. I inherently love information and data. So I started, as we were progressing through each of the films that we did fund, darker drama, a couple darker dramas, and then a romantic comedy. And I was like, okay, so this business, what's going on? And every time I would go into any of the, research information, whether it was the Motion Picture Association Association's reports for the years, and horror kept coming up as just, a top genre for financial success. As well as a creative success, especially for small budgets. And I knew going out I wasn't going to have the studio backing that we dealt with in some respects with the film fund. So I was like, okay, well, again, have to say my roots are being an accountant and being with the business background. And I was like, well, if I'm probably going to start and actually be in this industry as a filmmaker, I probably should go with the statistical odds of horror. And I have very fond memories of horror and the industry. So I was like, awesome, I'm going to do a horror movie. And so then I wanted it to still be, because, my memories and my desire to still bring really meaningful stories, and that story of, and again, knowing like often in my career as well, I mean, accounting is a very male dominated career, too, where, I wanted it to be a strong female character, and I wanted it to for her to really have this amazing storyline. And I knew I needed some help. I'm not a writer, not at all. I don't consider myself a creative producer. I'm the business producer. So I started looking for people that could help me, and I was introduced to David Bond. And my research background, I didn't have to research too much to figure out that, okay, he's definitely, got the knowledge and the background and the success in the industry, and he's in Edmonton in my backyard. I wanted to see if we could work together, and in some respects, the rest is history. So,
pretty much.
Yeah.
We have a joke at Dark Elegy that me and Corrine came up with, and it's Corrine keeps me out of jail, and I make sure we get awards. But
we know our roles.
Yeah. But let's talk about that first film, Extremity. What was your vision, and what did you learn?
Yeah, no, and I'm always going to have obviously a real passion and a soft spot for Extremity, being my first produced film and whatnot. But for me, again, that vision was I wanted the viewers, especially other women, to see that you can go through horrific events in your life, but that doesn't define you. You can always move through that. I don't like to say move past it, because it insinuates that you should just try to forget about it, and it's really, to me, more of you got to move through it. And so I really wanted that in our storyline, and that to come through on the screen. And so, that is really a lot of the premise of the movie is she's had some really dark stuff happen to her, but she wants to test herself because she thinks she's better. So she puts herself through this extreme haunted house or haunted thank you. And she goes through it, and she does, I'm sorry, little spoiler here, but I hope you still watch it if you haven't. She kicks ass, and she overcomes, and again, it's a bunch of men that are, sort of orchestrating all of the tricks and the I want to say psychedelics isn't the right word, but the tricks and the games and whatnot in it. And so again, it's sort of that, typical men sort of puppeteering women, and then she kind of breaks the strings and breaks balls in the end. So. And
here's your commercial for today. Go watch it on Tubi so we make some money.
Yeah, and then soon to be on NYX though.
Yes. Okay. Actually, that's a nice segue actually into what is NYX?
Yeah, good question. Well, simply speaking, NYX is Canada's horror TV channel. We are launching our FAST channel. Our FAST is free ad-supported channel. It's basically a cable-programmed TV channel on a digital platform, and I'm super excited because it's programmed. So yes, there's been a lot of streaming subscriptions out there and whatnot. I also did want our first channel that we're launching to be to be free because we want to reach a lot of people and we really want it to be inclusive. And so a big mandate, it's a mandate that I started under Dark Elegy, that we want to bring a lot of underrepresented voices to the screens, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing through NYX and our programming with NYX as well too. And we just really want it to be inclusive, and we want to scare the world, and so we want it to be fun and be quite the adventure that we're going to take you on as an audience as well too. So and that's what things that we loved. David's also a partner of mine in NYX, in that we wanted to program a really amazing adventure, for the genre fan. Doesn't matter if you're a fan that likes a bit of the lighter affair, or if you're a fan that likes some hardcore stuff as well too. It's going to be family friendly, and so it's going to cover a large, broad spectrum. It's going to be some of the most diverse catalog out there, and I'm super excited about it. And we've got big plans for our platform. It is going to be a subscription-based platform, but it's also going to be very different than what you have out there right now, which it's really, I call it your portal to the horror universe, again, which I'm so excited about. And if we can, it's going to take some customizing in terms of the technology, but super excited about, that's where you can come to not only, again, be entertained and to get all of your amazing programming and content, and we're going to obviously craft that journey for you there, but you can also take it, to the next level, and that's where you can connect in with all of your horror publications, like your, Dread Centrals and your Fangorias and your Rue Morgues, or you can hook into your favorite podcasts for horror podcasts and all your horror information and or your horror merchandising and stuff. So we really want to build that horror community, which is also, one of the reasons I do love the genre, is that I believe, the community accepts you for who you are, where you are, which is pretty amazing, because I'm not going to lie, there's not a lot of industries and or even probably the other genres that really do that. And so I think that's pretty powerful, and I think we all, should be a part of it. And so I'm just excited to, give back and hopefully give you guys a kick-ass experience. So
now, actually, let's talk about that. So we do have a mandate at NYX, I do believe. I shouldn't say that. I'm not the interviewer. But we do have a mandate to have some original programming in year 1 and year 2. Tell us about how you envision original programming, the idea of our support and offering of broadcast deals to various productions for the funding letters and that. So explain that little process to us.
So again, I'm always I consider myself a builder. I like building things. I like ripping things apart too, but then I do rebuild them. So even the doll head, eventually I rebuilt that. But anyways, had some really cool arms and stuff to it. But yeah, so, and David keep pushing year 1. No, maybe more like year 2, we're going to do some original programming, but because we want to stay focused on launching the channel, and you can only do so many things at once. But anyways, I'm super excited though about any original programming we do is always going to be again, to uplift and to give, people in the industry that probably haven't maybe had the chance and the exposure. So again, those underrepresented voices to the screens. I can't give too much away, but we are going to be working on a original kids animated horror series with this amazing BIPOC creator and writer, and she's just incredible. I'm so excited about that, and then we're also starting to option and take a look at working with an Indigenous story as well, and amazing Indigenous directors and creatives and other women. There is another female writer behind that one and stuff too, and then and that's where I want to be in this space as a licensed broadcaster. Obviously, being on the digital platforms is great, and that's really where we seem to be looking like we can reach you guys quickly and fast. literally fast, but still, according to the CRTC and good old regulations, is if we have a broadcast license, which we do, we can also help provide funding and get funding envelopes opened and triggered for other creators in the industry too. And again, I am, Edmonton born and raised pretty much, and that's where our home resides. So I'm always going to have an affinity for Edmonton, but I have to say, and I'm an Albertan as well. So I really want Edmonton and Alberta to be really quite a hub for, frankly, horror production and that industry, because we want to light it on fire.
Yes, we do.
But in a good way, not in a bad way.
Well, maybe a bad way, too. And here's commercial number 2. What we would recommend everybody here, go and tweet the Shaw, tell us, and everybody, because it is through that connection that tells us, hey, wait a minute, all these people want this channel, we better have it before Shaw has it or that. And that will help build the community. It will help build, our original programming. But actually, the question was actually not about our original programming, more about our features. So that's what I was more bringing up in year 1. You have a mandate for a strong vision for women in our channel, behind and in front of the screen. So I was more interested in talking about maybe your news service or your horror hosting and how you see that transition, especially in the new age of television, where we have kind of transitioned. I mean, even Elvira owns her brand and that. So I was more interested in more of those kind of components.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely, I mean, and to me, again, the key is, like, it's getting better, obviously, again, whether we're talking about, females in front of the screen, behind the, or in front of the camera, behind the camera, all those wonderful things. But honestly, and this has really been my experience when I produced Extremity 2, you got to get the females, or frankly, even, I'll more say underrepresented individuals in the executive decision-making positions in companies that are programming what you see on your screen. And that's really where the main difference is going to start to come through. So, and I have to say, because I feel people ask, are you a feminist? I don't know. I don't honestly think so. I love everybody. I have had my career, whether it was as an accountant and frankly, as in the industry, whether it's as a producer or as a business executive running a horror company, I have had amazing support from men. Amazing. And that's what we need, is we need everybody to start lifting up everybody. But the reality is that men and women think differently, and we all come at it with our own lenses, and we need more women and underrepresented minorities in the decision-making positions that are programming stuff on your screens. That's when you're going to start to see, I think, things really turning more to those, films and TV series and content in general that are created by more of the individuals in those categories. So I'm excited about that because, frankly, I think Jovanka and Tara had forged some new paths that way. I'm doing the same. There's not a lot of women in the executive positions making those programming decisions from a distribution company standpoint. So is that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you were trying to feed me, and I was
trying to feed
not
you more
even
about hosting and news.
Yeah. Well, and then look, I love all the horror hosting stuff. I just again, probably because that's a lot of what I remember, and so I think there is absolutely room for a new spin on horror hosting, which I'm super excited about. And I think, again, working with women and underrepresented minorities it lends itself to some beautiful content and in horror hosting, because I think there's just some amazing characters that could be created and kind of played out from that. So I look forward to that. Horror entertainment news is just something I'm passionate about, because I'm a bit of an information junkie, and I love my entertainment news, and I'm like, why do we not have entertainment news in the horror industry? Like, there's so much good stuff going around to help promote it. So excited about that as well.
So, horror, the New York Times has talked about it. We do have a mandate by 2015 in our industry. Did it come? 2025, sorry.
25, okay. Yeah, I was like, 2015.
We missed that mandate.
David's just making sure you're all listening.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah. So let's go with the first thing is that, were you shocked to learn when the New York Times actually did come up with the numbers that women watch horror more than men?
No, I was not shocked at all. I think that's always, and I'm seeing my fellow women in the crowd here like, yeah, hello, right? I don't know. Yeah, I think, we do account for 50% of the population, and yet somehow, I don't know. And you know what I think it is, honestly, genuinely? I don't know. Horror gets it gets categorized and described, in such, frankly, disrespectful ways. And I think sometimes people don't want to associate women with that. And yet I'm like, whoa, again, that's not horror. Horror is, fun, and it has great messaging. And yeah, women actually love it. And absolutely, I'm not surprised by that at all. And I just, again, think more and more people need to understand that. And a lot of times, frankly, and I don't know, maybe it's just in my house, but I'm guessing it's not. I often control the remote, even though the man is operating the remote, but my husband might operate the remote, but I'm like, no, we're not watching that. So you got to get to your female audience, people, seriously, program for us, right? That's what I want to do. So
the mandate at horror is in the industry is by 2025, not 15, that we will be at 50-50 parity behind the camera. Mm-hmm. Do you think we're going to get there?
Yes, but not without, some real focus and some effort and continued support and programs. It actually does. My pure vision, and one of the things we'll always be driving for at NYX too, is actually to stop saying, oh, this was done by a female director. I really hate those labels, and in some ways I find that, and I know we have, and I do love, again, the genre, bless its heart. We have the, Female in Horror Month, and it's going to be coming up to the 13th year for, love that 13, for Women in Horror Month. But I just, I don't really love that we have to have a Women in Horror Month. Let's just, again, all celebrate horror created by everybody. But I get that to tip the scales, I think, back kind of the other way. And so we got to get onto a little bit of an extreme with focusing very specifically on that. But yes, I do believe that there's lots of great programs, even the big studios, and that's really where it has to come from, is the big studios are now focusing and making it a priority to have so many, female directors or writers and creatives involved in their projects, which is fantastic. So yeah, we'll get there. So last question is, where do you see your future in horror over, let's say, the next 3 years? So let's go to 2025. Where do you see your role, and what do you see what you will be doing for the genre by 2025? Well, I want to rule the world, the horror world for sure. Honestly, yeah, I have big visions for NYX, and literally our mandate and our company vision is literally to scare the world, and that is what I look forward to doing. Like I told you guys in the beginning, I love scaring people. So we are going to be going and launching our channel internationally. I look forward to that. I look forward to building onto other, media fronts with NYX. NYX isn't just going to end up being a horror channel. It's going to have other media levels to it that I look forward to. And I look forward to bringing on and bringing with me other underrepresented minorities as well, too, in lots of different capacities on the business side of things, but also on the creative and how we just can continue to support the diversity in the creative stories and who's telling them and how they get programmed out into the world. So yeah.
Okay, well, I would like to thank you for spending your time, but I know all of you, so I'm going to say, do ask questions. So I'm now opening it up, the question period. I am not going to say any questions. So ask whatever you would like.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Slasher films are especially popular with women because they speak to female concerns and apprehensions.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
I don't know. I think honestly, like I am on the business side of things. So we're going to program for what the audiences are asking for. I think, so the women, I think, can take different, can tell the slasher story through a bit of a different lens. And I actually think that's pretty exciting and how they can do that and what that spin could be. So no, I think we're going to program what is going to be required by the audience, right? And what's going to be popular. So I just think the perspective of how those traditional, whether they're slashers, all the subgenres are going to be told is going to be with a little bit of a different lens, yeah.
And
Sorry. Won't be the case if only the virgins survive.
Well, yeah. Right? Yeah.
But wasn't that what Promising Young Women was elevation
Yeah.
of the slasher?
Oh man. I loved. Yeah. That's one of my favorites as well too. In that respect. So it's men beware. For sure. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were saying you do come across this as more like from a financial perspective.
Yeah.
Do you also wonder why it didn't make sense from a financial perspective to bring these new voices? Because, I mean, you are going to expand your audience. You're going to make something that could possibly be new because the problem solving in a horror movie is going to be approached differently by somebody like a female or a minority or a person with a different experience.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why they hadn't done this before.
I honestly, I wonder the same thing, and yet, so I've never, it's, even though I said, like, as a professional accountant, very male-dominated industry, I have to honestly say, and maybe it was just I was oblivious to it, or I just never paid that much attention to it. If I wanted something, I went after it. I never felt that I was really, honestly, held down by it. Maybe I was because I wasn't, necessarily behind the door of the decision making going on when I wanted a promotion or when I did something. But I will say that I think, so likewise for women, that there's always been women around the industry, horror industry as well too. But I think, and it's just that, I don't know how else to say it. It might piss people off too, but it's not. You got to be willing to tolerate some pretty unpleasant things, and I don't blame people that opt out of tolerating that.
I guess I was also thinking from like a narrative perspective. Of a horror movie. Like I want to watch something different. So
Right.
A different person
Right.
as the protagonist.
Yes.
I'm going to get a new and different movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay for because at least it's different.
Yeah, I know. It is going to be that bit of that fight, though, as to what is commercially viable, right? And unfortunately, a lot of the, a lot of the voices that are popular out there right now and people are sometimes slow to come around to change. Humans are, adaptive to change, but sometimes, they're slower to come around to it. But I will say this, just like to me, I'm also, for female sports. I'm a big sports fan. I love sports too. But you know what the reality is, and I say this to myself, is that if I want to see more professional female sports, I have to watch it, and I have to pay to watch it, versus watching all the men sporting events. So it's support, right? Like, you guys, the audience, you need to support it, absolutely, and it needs to. And again, still can be super interesting storylines, right? So. Yeah.
Next question.
It's not a question, but I just want to say I'm so excited to see this take off. It's as a woman in the horror industry, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
I get compared to my counterparts, which are male, and it's hard to stay balanced. And it's really, really exciting to see and hear this is coming.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And I'm excited to give back to just such an amazing community. I'm really excited about, what we can do and hopefully the platform that NYX can be. NYX, by the way, in Greek mythology is the goddess of the night. And to me, I also look at that as, and the reason I love the name also is as a protector of the darkness and some of that, and that protecting of people that are in darkness, or like the darkness. It's okay to like the darkness too sometimes, so. But I thank you for that. I know it is, it can be a struggle, to try to get our voices raised, either in equivalence with or a little bit higher than our lovely male counterparts, as well too. But that's where, again, I'd say, like, yes, my business partners are male, and I think you need that combination. I need the support of David and my other partner, Chris, who's on our technology side of things. David's our chief creative officer and all things content. We need their support, and they're very, great to be promoting and helping give us that sort of voice and stuff in the industry too, because they can help open doors for us. It's up to us to kind of kick them open or get through them, but they can also help us. And so that's where I'm not this like, oh, men, bad. No. No, it's just, you know what? It's been a male-dominated industry for a long time, but that is changing. That is. Yeah.
Very inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Voice and coming out and actually creating this.
Yeah, no, I'm.
And bringing in everybody as a balance, because I do believe the male and the female.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Well, and we really, and you guys need to hold us accountable to it, which is, again, a little bit of the double-edged sword with social media, but I love it. I mean, you need to hold us accountable to it. But, I have a business, we're developing a business advisory board. We've got a curation advisory team. Those teams are also with very diverse people, not just gender, as we will have some women on the curation advisory team, but it's also diverse in terms of their experience. Like, they're going to come from different countries, which will help expose different things as well too, right, and different content. So that's what I'm also very excited about in terms of, when we get to the point where we can actually pay ourselves and hire people, we're going to be hiring, for that. But we also are working with diverse groups right now, which is really exciting. Yeah, thank you.
Corrine, I actually have a question.
Sure.
So, the Boys Club, the first time you ever had to walk into it, it was at Con.
Yeah.
And it was karaoke night. So, tell me.
Not an intimidating environment at all.
No. So, tell... and I'll give you a little bit of understanding of Corrine. It's really, really simple. So she wanted to run the Boston Marathon and ran it. And walking into that room where it was every distributor, every film festival, 20% of probably the horror world at that moment, and having to sing with them and have to be be part of the tribe. What did you feel nervous? Was it, or did you just say, screw it, just sing my heart out and I'm going to own all of them within 10 years?
Well, no, I mean, I might come across as a pretty brass person, but no, I mean, genuinely, like, my heart was in my throat. I mean, it's a big room, right? There's big, important people there. And the other thing you guys need to know about me, I love the genre. I'm a fan genuinely of the genre, but I'm a different fan than David is, right? And that's okay too. But I'm not a horror aficionado. I'm not there yet. I mean, I love learning. Every day I learn something new and different about the genre or different types of movies. David's seen every movie in the world, but I would say my category of movies that I watch are going to be very different than what David would watch. However, I felt genuinely that, I think people were welcoming, which was nice, because I was really expecting everybody to just frankly be pretty snobby and first of all, a female, and then, you don't know every film in the genre. No, I don't. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't. I might get there, but I don't know that today. So anyways, no, really welcoming. But I'm also not afraid to come and, level the playing fields either, in that, look, I have to step up too, right? So I appreciated, the opportunity to be vulnerable and to sing on stage, karaoke. I do not have a singing voice, people. So I think that also helps, though, that show that I'm willing to open myself up as well. So I don't, to me, it's just treating people like people. I'm not better than anybody, and I just genuinely believe we all have strengths and weaknesses, and we all have something to offer and share, and we can all get along and have fun. Yeah. So.
Any other questions? Oh, okay. We'll go with the woman on the second, and then we'll go to you. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure.
So you kind of spoke on how women always silent you've been in a lot of things. So I guess it's kind of a two-part question, and how do we be a part of something like horror not silently? And then, how do we do it in a way that's not, kind of commodifying the fact we're doing it? Because I know you kind of said that, and I agree, a lot of times it's they just do that because it's, produce a movie because it's a female director or whatever. But
yeah.
It's I don't want to produce a movie because I'm a female director. I just want to, do me and
right.
be
Yeah.
recognized. So, how do you kind of juggle that? I want to be heard as a female, but I just also want to be heard, as myself.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Great question. So, for me, I always think collaboration first. And that's, again, so I would say, in terms of being, and not being that quiet strong female voice in the genre, collaborate with people, whether that's other successful women or other, underrepresented minority groups and or men, right? That can help you, that can help propel your work, that will help, again, be a real, proponent of what you're doing as well too. And don't be afraid to take, to take the reins on some of that and to, bring your voice forward. The one thing with the industry, which is that's not a place of comfort for me at all, is promotion. I'm not, but you've got to get there. And I don't know if it's number one, maybe it's a woman thing. Number two, it's a Canadian thing, but you literally have to become your best promoter, your best marketer, and you don't have to do it in an arrogant way. It's just always kind of being well, hey, this is what I'm working on, or hey, this is, something I think is interesting, or what have you. But honestly, I would really, really recommend collaborating and just, search out, be clear in your mind, who you are looking for to collaborate that can help you, because different people will be able to help you at different times in your path, in your career. And that's always going to be helpful. And then stay true to your voice and who you are and what you want to do. But know that sometimes you might have to, compromise, not meaning you're going to give everything up, but there is that fine line, because something you might want to create, you still have to, especially if you really want to keep getting it out there and known, it's got to have that commercial aspect to it. It really does, right? And so you want to really keep, that in mind, that you might have to tweak a few things in your concept or in what you're doing so that it can help be more commercially viable, but you still don't lose the essence of what your story is or what your message is there too. But just keep going. You can do it. You really can. You gotta sometimes just keep knocking on those doors. I know everybody hears it all the time, but it is just so true that you just have to get the thick skin on and just, if you believe in it, then you keep going for it. You really, really do. Yes.
Okay, sorry, it was kind of a silly
Yeah.
follow-up question. The other one. What did you sing at the karaoke? Do you remember?
No, because I had a lot of alcohol in me.
I believe it was something 70s.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But as a follow-up to that, who is, you've talked about, you've loved horror for a long time.
Yeah.
What is your favorite character? Do you have one?
No, I don't know that I honestly do, because so much is, you can kind of go through every phase, with it in a lot of respects. So I'm always drawn to the animated. So I probably have to say like the Addams Family and Wednesday Addams, I love them, right?
But you do have an affinity for very, very dark Disney films.
Well, that's very true too.
Yes. Yeah. I think Betty Davis probably terrified you as a child.
Yeah, she definitely did. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
So I would probably say Watcher.
Watcher in the Woods to this day is still one of my favorites. Yeah.
To answer the first question, there are some really great pitch competitions out there for anybody. Story is key, so Frontiers has a great program. Women in Film in Vancouver has an amazing incubator program for first-time filmmakers trying to get that first product out in genre.
Even, sorry, David, to build off of that too, like women in film in Alberta, WIFTA, as well too. Like, you gotta reach into the communities that are positioning to help women. Take advantage of that. I'm not gonna lie, right? Like, take advantage of it. That's a hot thing right now, and you may as well ride that wave, for sure. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
I'm just curious, as somebody who's doing something, or a woman who's doing something so inspirational, empowering, what advice would you have to young women or little girls?
Oh my goodness. Don't take shit from anybody. Honestly, I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care what you're interested in. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, that's not for little girls, or that's not for, someone like you. No, you know what? If you love it, if you're passionate about it, or you're just having fun with it, then go with it. Like, why not? And honestly, though, again, I would always say, like, I've only gotten anywhere in my life by having people help me. It's not, again, the easiest thing for me, because I have always, kind of tried to, I don't know why or how it was instilled in me to be this independent woman. I was always very independent. My mother even tells me as a 5-year-old kid, again, taking the head and walking through the bushes myself. I was like on my own, right? I mean, it was just kind of that era. But I've always had a very, very independent streak. But at some point, I actually got smart enough to realize that I can't do it alone. And so no matter what it's been, running the Boston Marathon, my God, I had a team of people that helped me, because I just realized that I'm not an athletic person. I literally looked like this before I ran the Boston Marathon, and I lost weight. I mean, oh my God, I trained for 3 years. I failed at 3 marathons to qualify before I finally got it. I mean, so it's just always that, never give up, ask for help, and don't listen to people that tell you that you shouldn't do it because you're, that's just not what girls do or whatever. And, don't worry about that.
This gentleman?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, no, you think that with more content, more diverse content, there'll be less franchising? And the problem with horror, you say, seems to be, Freddy Krueger has to get dug up out of the ground. 57 times. And then when they stopped doing that, they just rebooted.
It's called The Studios Don't Like Risk. And so, no, unfortunately, I don't know. With the pressures of money, that's always, I think, going to be in the industry. I don't care if you're, again, whether you're in the horror genre or in, the dramas or the superheroes. You're probably, everybody's like, I've even said it to, is there not anything more creative we can do? Why do we keep having these reboots? But the reality is, it's kind of a little more of a sure thing, and the studios like a sure thing. And so franchises, everybody wants to do a franchise because, I hope NYX discovers our own sort of similar franchise. It's just from the business of it, right? It's the business of it, unfortunately, and that's always it's always going to be a fairly heavy thing. I don't see, and I don't know, David, you can call me on that, but I haven't seen the studios take a lot of risk these days, honestly, and I don't know that I don't think that's going to be the case in the next few years either, especially with the economic pressures that we are seeing in the industry. Like, look at freaking Top Gun, and that actually doesn't help. I like my Top Gun too, but the fact that Maverick is like $1 billion again, God, there's going to be a third one and a fourth one, and it's just going to go on. And there's not, Tom Cruise, they will resurrect him. Maybe we can do a horror movie because he'll be the mummified version of frickin'.
That's been done before,
okay.
and he sucked at it.
All right. But, so unfortunately that is the business side of the industry. Get Out. Yeah, Jordan Peele there. Yep. I know. So, money talks, unfortunately, too, right? So, yeah. But that's where the more independence, you get, just keep pumping out content, honestly, guys. Like, there is room for it. There's room for another Blair Witch. There is room for, those, Paranormal was the similar, was it not? There's room for it, guys, so you never know.
There's lots of festivals out there, and when we do look at horror content, IP is not king. IP is king when you end up with a 17 million P&A budget and you need to open in 2,500 screens.
Yeah.
But there are lots of filmmakers opening up in 150 screens, and they're building. Exorcism of God has done exceptional business this year. And, it's opened up, I think it opened up in the United States on 40 screens. So there is lots of opportunity on films. During COVID, we've seen lots of things of kids taking over a chain of drive-ins and getting their content out. So the one thing about horror I've always thought personally is that IP isn't king. IP is king if you're Robert Shea and you're building the house that Freddie built with New Line, or you're Jason, and Jason says, well, why are we going to do $1 million models anymore? The secret now is that, 17, we need to make 150 million or we've lost money on a $7 to $10 million film.
But Playback is an amazing news source just for the entertainment industry in Canada in general. And I read an article, and the reason I'm going to mention it clearly is because it resonated so much with me, is Rick Mercer. And he was talking, about a lot of the projects and some of the stuff he's worked on. And he was just like, you can never stop promoting. And as Canadians in general, we don't think about being those promotion machines, and we need to be. And it doesn't have to, necessarily be worth, cost you $150 million. You just, it's no different. That's where the democratization of some of the, PR stuff with the social media is, just get everybody and anybody to be constantly talking about your project or what's happening and and where it is and what's going on. And I know it seems really self-centered and arrogant. Who cares? Get over that. Like, you gotta keep promoting it, because the more it's in front of people, the more it'll be successful. It really is just that simple, unfortunately. And that's where we have to build a promotional machine with NYX. So tweet out at NYX Television everywhere.
Commercial number 3.
Yes.
And that's our final one. But yes.
Here's your question.
Yeah, sure.
Economics behind streaming something like Tubi with an advertising model versus a Netflix model.
Yeah.
Is the money from those optioning streaming similar, or is there quite a big difference?
No, there's a big difference, for sure. Yeah, you're as the owner of. I'd rather be, well, you're gonna throw some of the statistics maybe back in my face, but I'd rather be the owner of Netflix. To be honest with you, you're gonna make more money on a subscription based as the owner, or as a producer. Probably likely you're gonna maybe be more profitable that way. It's just that is the nature of the models, of the business models. But you have to be mindful of the economic environment you're in. So for me, I believe we are in a very price sensitive point in the country, in the global market, frankly, and that's why I do think AVODs and fast channels, the free ad supported, are going to do very, very well, because people are not, with inflation and the price of food and gas and the realities of our world, we're not going to be able to keep all of our subscriptions going maybe that we wanted to. So therefore that will start driving as a producer where you can make more money from as well too. It's just kind of the economics of those business models. The problem with it, and actually this is, I thank you for a bit of the one last plug for what NYX is wanting to do. I've been a producer. I'm still a producer. I can't stand the lack of transparency. So Netflix will never tell you their numbers. One of the things I really, really want to do with NYX and for our content creators is I want to show you your numbers. I have nothing to hide. I think, it's a win-win for everybody. As you're creative, I need you as the creators. You need me as a distributor, and we may as well make money together. It blows my mind with the amount of sort of, backdoor shit that goes on with some of that stuff where they're like, oh, no, you really didn't have that many views, and whatnot. And what are you going to do as an independent? Say, Netflix, I want to audit your books? No. Like, that's just not going to happen. So they can tell you whatever the hell they want to tell you about how many views and subscriber, that your film got, and you kind of take your check and go, okay, thanks, which is the shitty part about some of that. So, yeah.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Extremely. We had a distributor who basically, it's whatever the distributor report is. Mm-hmm. And you will find that, I was just thinking back when she's talking about Tubi, that we get our report every, 6 months from Tubi on how much we do on Extremity. We don't know. It's a number.
No.
It's a number. There's no attachment of views. There's no attachment of concept.
And not even like, and it's again appalling to me that I have to wait, 6 months or 3 months to get that. But it's also like no details about which months or what periods of time of the day or any of that stuff that we could even help market towards, right? Because again, it's all going to be about any kind of marketing machine that you can put behind it, from that side of things. But, yeah, it's just, It is, unfortunately, it's just the shitty bits about the industry that we hope to maybe make a small dent in. And I'm happy to show any creative that we can acquire the rights and license the rights from. I'm happy to show you your numbers, and because I want you to bring more content to me. I want, us to be your preferred house and distribution house, so that you bring me the most entertaining and creative and amazing shit, and we both make money.
This lady?
Just to follow up and comment about, the new innovation and new concepts. I'm very glad that you're committed to diversity magical because I saw in the movie theater recently. It was an Indigenous movie. It was a science fiction movie, dystopian. I can't remember the name.
It was Night Raiders.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Raven Banner.
Oh, yeah.
that was awesome. And, I can think, and it has that element of the mythology and the backstory of the peoples and what they could bring to horror.
Oh, incredible. They have, wow, the Indigenous peoples have such incredible history of storytelling in the culture and just some amazing, storylines that just fit so well with our genre. So I look forward to bringing, personally for NYX to be bringing forward a lot more Indigenous, but in general to see a lot more Indigenous storylines being brought out for sure. That'd be amazing. I agree. Well, thank you guys. I hear the costume contest is probably in full swing. I'm glad you're still with us here. And thank you for being such a great audience.
I will ask once last again. Any final questions?
What was the name of the first film you made?
The first film I made was Extremity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, guys. Have fun. Yay. Thank you.
See, I told you guys I would suck at this.
And that was the interview with Corrine Ferguson of NYX Media Corporation, and we look forward to seeing that channel hit Canada hopefully any day now. It's a little delayed from their fall release, but hopefully we'll be seeing it launch in 2023. Getting an entire TV channel streaming network off the ground is probably no easy task, so I'm looking forward to seeing another horror channel in Canada. And we do have Shudder up here, but we don't have a channel that isn't US corporate owned, so that'll be kind of cool to see that up here as well and have more horror options here in Canada. All right, well, if you like that, please like and subscribe on all your favorite podcatchers of choice. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating and a short review. It helps get more earballs on the show. You can also visit our website, invasionofthemake.wixsite.com/podcast. And over there, you also find a button to our store. That'll take you to our TeePublic Store, where we just launched a bunch of new designs. There's some new 31 Days of Horror designs, some new holiday Christmas designs. So go check those out. We're also going to be retiring this year some older designs. So this may be your last chance to buy those designs. So watch our social media for ones we're going to be retiring. And this is going to be your last shot at some of the designs. But there's new ones going up right now. We've got a whole new batch of 31 Days of Horror and some new holiday Christmas designs as well. So check them out. You can get them as t-shirts, mugs, posters, PPE masks, totes, all sorts of things you can get those prints on. And of course, you can join us on our social media at Invasion Remake on Twitter while it's still there before it implodes under Elon Musk's evil tyrant reign, allegedly. It's been fascinating to see what's going on there, but we're still there right now. And Invasion of the Remake over on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Yeah, we're on TikTok. Never saw that one coming, but here we are. We're on TikTok. And, of course, you can email us your suggestions, corrections, and your comments over on invasionofthemake@gmail.com. And we look forward to getting back to some of your fan challenges as well. I don't think we'll be hitting any new ones until 2023 now. I told you at the top of the show, my personal life's a little crazy right now, but, when you're kind of forced to move unexpectedly, the pressure on that, something's kind of got to give, and I can't give up an entire day of editing. But I'm glad I had this stuff ready for you, and we'll catch you next week. We've got the last vestiges of HorrorCon next week, where we've got some floor interviews, and believe it or not, more Joe Bob. That's going to be fun, and after that, there may be a few weeks off as I get resettled. But then the whole gang will be back, and we'll be doing 31 Days of Horror, most likely immediately after, once I'm settled. So we'll try to get that out before the end of the year. Hopefully, if not, we'll push it into next year, into January, but hopefully we'll get it to you by the end of December, which will be a weird Christmas gift, won't it? Blood and guts and all with a bow around it. Yeah, that could work. We're movie guys. We're easy. All right. Well, until then, I've been Jason. Somewhere there's Sam and Trish. They'll be back soon. I am out of here.
I cannot say where I am, but I can say that I'm here on my own free will. Anything that happens inside perdition is done with my full consent.
I belong to perdition. Perdition? That's my hell. Before the time, yours too.
I relinquish all control of my mind and my body. I am nothing now. I'm just a plaything of perdition.
I'm trying to take us to the next level.
Do with me whatever you wish.
Do with me whatever you wish.